And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Battle Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, the man who labored on Labor Day, watching all those bunts. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
I don't like buns, but hey, I was putting in work. Got to watch some ball players putting in work on Labor Day. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of an entertaining game. We're recording this, shortly after the Tigers lost 10-8 to the Mets to start their 3-game series over there in downtown Detroit. And uh, this series is going to be a good test. We're going to recap it more midweek overall, but it's going to be a good test because the Mets are obviously a good team, and any team that has Lindor followed by Soto is, something that you're going to have to take seriously in the pitching plan and the game plan. And, you just can't throw hanging curveballs down the middle of the plate with the bases loaded. That's my hot take on that specific aspect. But real quick, before we go too far in and I forget, I wanted to say on behalf of Cody and I, thoughts and prayers to Dan Dickerson and his family as he attends to a family matter. So miss having him on the broadcast. Hope him and his family are doing okay. So wanted to say that off the top here. But Cody, Labor Day game, fun crowd. Like a lot of this was fun. I feel like this was I'm in a good mood because it was a fun baseball game to watch. But you hadn't been with the team in a bit. We saw the Sacramento A's series, and we talked about how it was just kind of ugly and not their brand of baseball. And then they got back to playing their brand of baseball in a crucial series against Kansas City, take 2 of 3. They finished August 16-12. So that's surviving. That's obviously above 500 baseball, which we had talked about with Austin a lot. So coming in and with with everything what's going on, do you have any sort of vibe check with these Tigers as we go into September and what as of now is a comfortable 9-game lead in the division?
I'm not sure there's been any huge shift in the vibe. I think the question I'm asking myself, I think fans should be asking, like, do you feel better about this team than you did on July 31st? I actually think that's kind of a hard question to answer.
Okay.
The biggest concern then was the bullpen. The bullpen finished August with the second best ERA in baseball. We've talked about some of the factors. For a while, you were getting better starting pitching. It was a lot of Kyle Finnegan, who you should feel very good about. He was really good for you. He's yet to allow a run in the Tigers uniform. There's a lot of Kyle Finnegan and Will Vest. Didn't see a ton of the non-leverage guys as much, especially in the first half of August. But then you dig a little deeper. They were 25th in FIP. They were their batting average in balls in play against the Tigers bullpen. It was, I think, 219, easily the lowest in baseball. I'm watching Rafael Montero has been better the last few outings, but that boy's still kind of wild, man. It scares me watching him. He has pitched in a couple big spots, but what's the confidence level? I don't know. Drew Summers, who the Tigers organization had really talked up for most of July, starting in late June. He ain't looked too good so far. So I don't know. Tommy Kahnle, he's been a little better lately. Like you can kind of see the ingredients, but then your starting pitching the second half this month was really bad. So the starting pitching still worries me. I think the team itself, the guys, the management, I think they are feeling better that they got good results from the bullpen in August. But I think everyone knows there's still some big tests ahead. I think even what is the playoff roster going to look like is largely going to depend on what happens this month. You have the likes of Jose Urquidy still working back. Paul Sewald, who's eligible to be activated September 10th. Seems like the Tigers have staked a lot on him helping the bullpen. Well, he's just now throwing a live BP. I don't think he's going to be in the majors by September 10th. So how good do you feel about that timeline? And then we're going to keep seeing some of the cycling in and out of relievers, even other guys on the roster. We'll talk about September call-ups here in just a second. You kind of still have a lot of moving parts, I think, before you fully know what your team's going to look like in the playoffs. But I think the big concerns are the same. It's all about the pitching. And I would argue the starting pitching now looks like a bigger concern than it was in July. Maybe you feel a little bit better about the bullpen, but there's still some question marks there.
Yeah, I mean, what's kind of weird, Cody, is that for a team that's near double digits up in their division and is, give or take the 1 seed in their respective league, it does really feel like a not yet formed squad. Does that make sense? Like you talked about some of the relief,
Yeah.
like the in and out relievers, roles, certainly a lot of them undefined, and even though you talk mainly about pitching, offensively and just position players, I guess, like there is still some kind of fine tuning exactly how you want to attack and then anticipating how you're going to get attacked. We saw the lefty relieving a lefty today. We don't see that a lot against the
Yeah.
Tigers. So like, is that something that might become a little bit more of a try by opposing teams? Like, these kind of like little things. I still don't necessarily have a grand grasp of like what I anticipate them doing. And I don't know. I like is that almost part of me says that might be by design. Like I like or like the Tigers have kind of operated the past couple years of their own normal. You see what I'm saying? Like their own their normal is not everybody else's normal. I don't know if the Yankees podcast is pinch
No,
right
they're
here.
not. They do things in a non-traditional manner, and certainly not the way all teams do it. I think there are a few other modern teams with probably similar payrolls that do things similarly to the Tigers, but it's still, I think, in the minority. Yeah, so it's different.
Yeah, it's different. And it's also a reflection of the luxury of having someone like Tarek Skubal. Like,
That's
who allows you to do some of these things. And like his standard of excellence is so high that like he has like one inning with a couple ducks on the pond, and people are like, what's wrong with Tarek Skubal? He ends up breaking Denny McClain's record for most 7 inning starts with allowing 0 runs in a single season. That's pretty dang cool. I just wanted to shout out that my dad always brags about being at Denny McClain's major league debut. So you look back at MVP winners and pitchers, he's a part of that category as well. So we're gonna talk about the September call-ups and like how that affects what we just talked about, kind of the shaping of this roster. But first, a word from our sponsors. Game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks. Anytime TD rushes and live bets that write every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly, plus grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, coming back here, the news of the day, if you would, Cody, is that the Tigers use their expanded rosters slots to, technically it was to call up Chase Lee and Justin Henry Malloy, but we understand that it's the headline would be Sawyer Gibson Long and Justin Henry Malloy. I'm surprised we didn't see Chase Lee today, but anyway, I was going and looking at Jay Henn's AAA stats because I hadn't looked at it in a while, and I mean, credit to him. He's I would say had a disappointing season because he was probably think he was going to be a major leaguer the majority of the year, and that's you go down, like you got to have the right mentality. We talk about that with Austin Jackson a lot. 934 OPS, 317 average, 444 on base. Like the guy did exactly what we know him to do in AAA, but like we have not seen him do it at the major league level. And with Andy Ibanez occupying right-handed at bats, and Jahmai Jones, who we'll talk about, occupying right-handed bats versus left-handed pitching, and also, if we're being honest, the emergence of Wenzel Perez as a viable hitter from the right side.
Yeah.
it just like I want to see Jahan succeed. You and I have been on Jahan for a while, but where is it going to come?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the tough part.
It's going to be hard. I think we mentioned it before, but Jahan's right back into the role he was when he got sent down, which is you're going to play sparingly. You're occasionally going to get a pinch hit at bat against the other team's best left-handed reliever in a big spot. Good luck. That's a hard ask. And it makes sense, especially now when you have Andy and you have Jahmai playing well, hitting well. Look no further than Jahan gets called up one Monday, and there's a lefty on the mound, and he doesn't start. I think that's how it's going to be, especially if Andy and Jahmai Jones continue to perform well. To hear AJ Hinch explain it, it's kind of like a late game counter move. Like you can pinch hit, let's say Kerry Carpenter earlier in the game, in the 5th, in the 6th, and then if that other team brings in a lefty, you still got Jahan because now the roster is 28 guys. I think that's by design. I think that's how the Tigers are often going to use him. AJ mentioned the defense component. Sometimes when you have multiple options, you're going to pick defense over offense. So I don't know that we're going to see a ton of Jahan at bats, and the ones we do, they're going to be big spots. So kudos to him if he's able to handle that, able to stay fresh. It almost leads like you could second guess, should they even call him up if he's not going to play very often? I think the natural counter is like, okay, well, who else are you calling up? How Yuli's a guy I thought maybe we would see. I still think maybe we could see him by year's end, but he's a younger guy who hasn't yet played in the big leagues. If you're going to call him up, you probably want him getting regular at bats. That's not really going to happen at second base or third base right now, so actually makes sense. Trey Cruz has probably put himself on the map, and he could be a super utility type. But again, how confident do you feel about him hitting at the major league level or being thrown in there at shortstop? That's a big ask. If you want someone who you're just not really going to play, maybe Akil Baddoo and he can pinch run for you or something like that. Clearly, they are choosing the strategy of Jahan's bat as like a late game counter move or give them even more pinch hit options at their disposal. We'll see how that works out, but I think that's kind of the reality of the situation for Justin Henry Malloy.
Yeah, and weirdly, it is kind of a confidence call in him,
Yeah.
despite but based on everything you just laid out there, it's kind of a confidence call in Jahan, despite just not really producing so far in 2025. And then Sawyer Gipson-Long, I think this one was probably another reasonably expected case here. He's going to get the start on Tuesday. Is that correct? And
yeah, he'll start Tuesday. I'd expect Chase Lee's probably going back down. What I'm interested to see is, will Sawyer Gipson-Long go straight back down? I think Bailey Horn will be eligible to get called up if you want another lefty in there. Maybe SGL stays up for a little bit longer, but we know they're going to keep cycling this bullpen, and wouldn't be shocked if this is a one-start thing for Sawyer Gipson-Long. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to know. A lot of guys on this squad probably know all the best stops between Detroit and Toledo. They probably know exactly where the.
Not sure there are a lot of great ones. No offense to any downriver listeners. I don't know. I don't take that route too often. Let me know where I should stop between Detroit and Toledo. Next time I'm coming back from a Mud Hens game, I'll grab a bite to eat.
There you go. Get the plug there. And the other piece of this is, of course, Jahmai Jones, who today led off the game with a home run. And then, I mean, honestly, a full game at the plate, because you have a home run, you have a bunt single, and you also have another extra base hit and a double, 2 ribbies there as well. And, when Andy Ibanez came back up, I was like, all right, well, where are we going to kind of see Jahmai spots? And really, they didn't really change all that often. And now that Jahan's up, I mean, the question we have here is, how safe is Jahmai Jones? It feels pretty safe to me right now because the dude just keeps hitting.
It's 100% safe. Jahmai Jones has a 876 OPS this season, Kieran. Someone I think put on Twitter, like, he is what we wanted Justin Henry Malloy to be.
Barry Mack, I believe, shout out.
I think that's almost a little unfair to Jahan. Like, it's just kind of a small sample size thing for both of them. But reality is, Jahmai got called up No one was quite sure how it was going to last earlier this season when they sent Andy down. He was performing, didn't always play a lot. He's continued to perform. Seems like he's kind of getting hot all over again right now. Yeah, like he's locked down this role. He's turned out to be the perfect guy for it. Probably a little bit underappreciated in the grand scope of the season. He only has 101 at bats. So again, he hasn't played a lot, but he has 5 homers. He gives you a competitive at bat every time. He's played a little bit in the field. Like for what the Tigers ask people to do, no one's embraced it as well as Jahmai Jones and had success in that role.
Yeah, so credit to him and credit to the front office for identifying him as somebody who would buy in. And one of the things that guys really have to buy into or get the hell out of the way is the base running like mantra of taking the extra base. And we saw several examples over the weekend and even today with Torque running on Juan Soto there and what was a really close play. This is literally historic. Like sometimes we take it for granted. Like I watched the Saturday broadcast because Benetti's doing it with our colleague AJ Brzezinski, and Benetti's talking to a national audience. So I wanted to see how he would kind of scope like the Tigers to a national audience as opposed to what he normally does for FanDuel TV. And he hit on this base running thing, and it's true. Like it's historic. I don't know how many people have caught up on this, like outside of obviously Tigers fans, but we have a graphic up here if you're watching on YouTube. The Tigers' extra base percentage of 54% is number 2, tied for number 2 since 1970. Only the 1975 Oakland Athletics are superior, and the 1970 Yankees are tied there. I mean, this is literally something that we have not seen. What's the most? So the Rockies in 20, Cubs in 20 as well.
2
so
short seasons in 2020.
Throw out the 2020. The last time we saw something like this, literally 1982.
No one does it, which is kind of crazy. And if you go back further into the 60s, teams were doing this all the time. I'm not sure exactly what changed in the 70s where people stopped running the bases as aggressively. That was pre the analytics revolution. I think that has something to do with what we see now. I don't know, but I think that tells you, like, we got to step back and appreciate this. MLB.com pointed this out in June that the Tigers were doing this. It's now September 1st, and the Tigers have sustained taking extra bases at a historic rate. I think a big question is like, well, how much of a difference does this really make? And one way to look at it, well, the Tigers are, I think, 8th in run scoring, and they're, I think they're down to 14th in batting average. They're around 12th in OPS. So they are outperforming their OPS in terms of the amount of runs they score. They, I believe, are the best in the league or second best in the league at converting base runners to runs, the percentage of runners who actually score. It's making a difference. The difference between the 8th best offense and the 12th best offense this year is about 36 runs. If you want to get real nerdy, plug that into a Pythagorean wins formula. That's going to equate to about 3 wins. Now, that's not make or break in your season, but that could be the difference between home field advantage or not, or a first round bye or not. So the things the Tigers are doing, it works. And that's only what we can really measure with the numbers. We should probably consider just the pressure it puts on other teams. Or if you have a runner on third, that pitcher maybe isn't as likely to throw a curveball in the dirt and try to get your guy to chase. There are some unseen things that I think can make a difference too. I'm writing more about this on The Athletic this week, getting really nerdy, looking at the run expectancy matrix. One of the biggest differences on that board is the difference between a runner on first and second and a runner on first and third. It's a big difference. So if you want to know more about that, you can kind of check out that story. But just a reminder, we should step back and the best base running team since 1975. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it reminds me of is it is kind of like, it is old school. And it's also like the old school mantra is that you got to be able to not necessarily the fastest guy, but the best base runner. Those metrics are happening largely, almost exclusively, without Matt Vierling and without Parker Meadows. So
the Tigers rank, I think, 16th in average team sprint speed. So middle of the pack, nothing special. You were dead last in stolen bases because you don't send guys you don't give guys the green light, but you are the best at taking extra bases since 1970. We know the cost to that, right? Guys get thrown out sometimes. Tigers have made more outs on the bases than anyone in the league. But then you look at the other metrics, only really the Milwaukee Brewers have been worth more runs above average on the bases than the Tigers. It works.
Yep, it does work, and it's a fun brand of baseball to watch. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and afterward, we're going to discuss, is the 1 seed that important? But first, a word from our sponsors.
We're throwing a curveball at you this week for our Arena Club segment, as AJ has opened up a Pokemon slap pack.
Is that how you say it?
Pokemon slap pack. Pokemon. Don't ask me to say what that card is, but what are you doing with that card?
I already sold it. Are you kidding me?
Back, baby.
I bought it, and then I got more money than I paid for the pack, so I sold it straight back.
You bought it for
$250.
You sold it for
$299.
And you can go get yourself something that you maybe know how to pronounce.
Yes, or know what it is. I just did it because I saw certain people opening Pokemon, and they were making money, and guess what? I got lucky. Made money off of it too.
Exactly. But of course, if you're into sports cards, that is something that you can find a ton of on the Arena Club Marketplace. Buy, sell, slab pack, trade. 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase can be had at arenaclub.com/foul and use the code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL.
All right, coming back here. As of this moment, and the games are already final, so it's not going to change by the time you guys listen to this, hopefully. The Tigers are the only team with 80 wins in the American League. The Toronto Blue Jays lost today in walk-off fashion. So they are 79-59. The Tigers are 80-59. So we talked a lot, Cody, about the importance of avoiding that 3-game wildcard series. What we haven't dedicated as much time to is the importance of the 1 seed overall. So obviously that means home field advantage throughout the postseason. We have a postseason picture at the season. This is entering Sunday if the season Monday. There's my holiday brain right there. And the Tigers are the 1 seed, Toronto the 2 seed. Seattle and Houston will play in a best of 3 in Houston. Excuse me, and Boston and New York would play in a best of 3 in the Bronx for the right to play the Tigers. So now we have a graphic, a thing to illustrate. Overall, your thoughts on this, and just like, is the 1 seed worth going for per se? You know what I mean? Like going for that 1 seed, where it'll probably come down to the last couple of days of the season anyway, so it's not going to change your approach. But how important is it to have home field throughout?
It's a good question, Kieran. I think you need that bye. You don't want to play that 3-game series. Just looking at this bracket right now, I'm not sure. Like the 1-2, how much is it going to matter? I guess could matter home field advantage for the ALCS, so just keep that in mind. But otherwise, I don't know. The Seattle Mariners, I think, scare me more than any team in the AL still. Right now, you would get to avoid them if you're the 1 seed, but you'd be greeted with the Yankees or Red Sox in return. You know, the Red Sox, they have some pretty good left-handed hitters atop that order. The Yankees are the Yankees. How comfortable do you feel against any of these teams? I'm not sure. I kind of like the Tigers' chances against the Yankees. The Yankees can be so sloppy. So maybe that's reason to advocate for the 1 seed, but we'll see how the rest of the American League shakes out. See what the Mariners do. See what happens in the AL West. That's kind of been a crazy division that I think could be far from settled, at least between the Astros and the Mariners. If it stands today, I think I'd be slightly more comfortable having that 1 seed if you're the Tigers, but I'm not sure it makes a huge difference because you're going to have a 5-game series against a pretty quality opponent in the ALDS any way you cut it.
That is true. And Boston, I'll be honest, Boston kind of blares red lights at me because of, they got Crochet, so you can neutralize. I mean, right there, you can neutralize Kubel, and they're they have a philosophy that's probably not all that different from the Tigers in terms of like, the guy at the top there calling the shots, Alex Cora. Now, storyline wise, it'd be awesome, but yeah, that Boston scares me. I see what you're saying about Seattle. So just for the record, the Tigers are 44-25 at home this year. So actually, that's coming in today. So 44-26, and then they are 36-33. So just a hair above 500 on the road. So for whatever that's worth, versus Boston, they swept Boston, so they're 3-0 against Boston. They play them last series of the season. Against the Yankees, they are 2-1. They play coming up here pretty soon. Against Seattle, they're 2-4. And against Houston, they are 4-2 because of that sweep. They had the season advantage there. So it's did I say Toronto? Toronto, they are 3-4. So toss up there. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna have a challenge there that you're gonna have to be on. You're gonna have to have better starting pitching than what you've shown right now. But for the 1 seed specifically, you're really only talking about one team that can have home field advantage. To me, it's not something that I am giving a lot of cognitive energy for, as opposed to just getting out of that wild card series. And also, if Toronto's the 1 seed, you're going to have a good contingent of fans there, as opposed to, probably any of these other teams. And it's also short travel. It's also indoors. Like it's probably more manageable than going West Coast. It's probably better than going up against these perennial playoff teams, even though you did just have success against Houston. I'm not too worried about 1 versus 2. So I'm staking my claim right there.
You want to know what I'm basing this off? I want to go to a cool city. I guess they're all pretty good cities. Not trying to disrespect anyone's city here. I got a cousin in New York. I got a friend in Seattle. A little seafood either in Seattle or on the East Coast. So I'm kind of not feeling Houston. Toronto's a great city. Do I want to have to go through customs? I don't know. Take me to New York or Boston. I think that'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. I would love to. I've never been to New Yankee Stadium. Never seen a game at Fenway Park. That would be, obviously historic elements there in terms of rivalries. And the Tigers have had good success against the Yankees in my lifetime, so I don't fear the Yankees, if you would. So yeah, it'll be fun. We'll see how it shapes out. If there's any alterations in the wild card too, whether that plays into a factor of teams that you're, quote unquote, worried about. All right, let's wrap up here with a quick little hitter. We've mentioned these guys in different parts, but I just wanted to point out some really high-end performers in August. Finnegan, that you mentioned, 14.1 innings, yet to allow a run. That's kind of the saving grace of the front office in terms of public perception, how good Kyle Finnegan has been. And not just like their actions, but their process. Like if there's a guy that epitomizes like, this is why we do what we do, it's what they did to go get Kyle Finnegan.
And we know the adjustment. They've told him to throw the splitter a lot more. It's led to a lot of success. His strikeout rate is 39.1% since becoming a Tiger. I'm not sure it's going to stay that high, but it's been better. He's throwing now more splitters than fastballs. Not like that's some revolutionary thing, but a reminder, there's still some haves and have-nots, and the Tigers are in the have category in terms of pitching knowledge and knowing how to tinker guys. They can't save everybody. I think we've seen that this year, but one little adjustment sometimes is all it can take to unlock somebody. They've done that with Kyle Finnegan.
Yeah. Also, shout out Colt Keith, who hit 275 in the month of August and had a rope today.
It actually started to cool a little bit, I believe, the last 10 days or so.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good to see. Still one of those guys that's like, I feel like there's a larger role to play for this team, and like and I mean that as a compliment. Like he's just kind of been steady, and it's like there could be like another step that comes, almost out of nowhere unless you've been paying attention. Wenzel Perez, Cody, 843 OPS in the month of August. That obviously doesn't include what he did today. 287 average. He's he's been a whirlwind, a godsend in some ways with his ability to hit left-handed pitching this year. So I wanted to give him some credit there. Torque, steady torque. I think we got to give credit for Torque kind of being the same guy the majority of the season. He had a 732 OPS in August. And Riley Green, another guy that's kind of had this, get into more steady waters. He finished with a 790 OPS in the month of August. And, seems like he obviously started off September, pretty nicely as well. So there's some guys, no losers, but I just wanted to put out some winners there. And, the guys we already talked about, like Jahmai Jones and some of the consistent play. Bullpen in general, Montero, 8 innings without any earned runs. That's something. I don't know what it is, but it's something. So coming off a terrible August where you were 11-14. Yeah, 11-14.
In July.
July. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. In July, when you were 11-14 and the sky was falling in many ways, this was a right the ship month for the Tigers. So everyone deserves credit for that.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a perfect month, but we saw some stretches of good baseball, saw some good things happen like we've talked about with the bullpen. Like I said, to start the pod, still some tests ahead. Wenceel Perez, man. This guy's been so good. He's got 1.4 WAR, which has to be the best by a Tigers international signee since
long time.
Maybe am I forgetting something obvious?
This is a perfect Raj question. he has this stuff off the top of his head.
Yes, he does. Someone shoot us the answer to that. It's got to be. Yeah, you probably have to go disturbingly far back to find the answer, and it's just 1.4 WAR we're talking about. Willie Castro didn't get that in a Tigers uniform, did he?
I don't think so.
Oh, he was a trade. They traded for him.
Yeah, he was a trade.
So
we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot. It's like best
And
season.
he also never did it. He also never did it. So as a Tiger. So all right.
Wenzel's most home runs by a draft pick. Like we're getting a lot of those right now, which is like a good and a bad thing. If you, from a historical perspective, it's not that great, but for currently, it's a pretty good deal. So yeah, we will be recapping the Met series on Wednesday afternoon. That will publish Thursday, and then for Friday we have another special treat with Austin Jackson. That's the tease. That's all I'm gonna give away. Cody, anything else before we jet out of here?
No, that's good.
All right. Well, you can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran_Steckley. Make sure you guys subscribe to The Athletic so you can read that base running story and nerd out a little bit. Subscribe to us, please, on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. You guys know the deal. 5-star review if you feel so inclined. We appreciate all of you. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.